So today we are going to talk about the important group of muscles that you have heard about before, the rotator cuff muscles. We have heard about so many times that rotator cuff injury, this injury, that injury. So stability must needed because these are the muscle for the stabilization, not more for mobilization. Yes, it is for mobilization, but not in aspect in relation to stabilization. They will call it shoulder stabilizers, rotator cuff muscles. So the first question, what are the questions is that, what are the muscles, different muscles that comes under the rotator cuff group? So rotator cuff muscles, when we talk about, so the rotator cuff muscle that we call the first one, supraspinatus. Infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. So these are the muscles: supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, subscapularis. So easy way to learn about this muscle we call sits, S-I-T-S. What we call it? Sits. So these are the muscle that forms your rotator cuff group: supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. In short, we can say sits group of muscle. So these are the four muscles that forms your rotator cuff muscles. So we have to be careful, guys, that when we are going the poses like arm balancing, shoulder stand, inversions, any core balancing, we must need, or one side balancing poses, we must need a good strong rotator cuff muscles. Otherwise, my stabilization is not good. There is more chances of the dislocation and the muscle tear or the ligament tear or the tendon tear. So this muscle we'll discuss in detail into the PowerPoint, right? So that's an idea for you what forms the rotator cuff muscle. Sits. S for supraspinatus, I for infraspinatus, T for teres minor, and S for subscapularis. So this is an introduction to your rotator cuff. So as you have heard about so many times, rotator cuff muscles, rotator cuff muscles, rotator cuff muscles. What are these rotator cuff muscles? This is the first question now, right? What are the different rotator cuff muscles that we have to learn for today's class? As a yoga practitioner, if you have a strong or if you have a balanced rotator cuff muscle, you can prevent so many injuries during the poses like arm balancing, inversions, shoulder stand, and core strength poses, right? We need a good strong rotator cuff, not too much tight, not too much weak. So the first group of muscle to the rotator cuff we say supraspinatus. So this is the spinous process, right? This is the spinous process of the scapula because it attaches to the spine in the middle. So this is the spinous process of the scapula. Supra is superior to the spinous process, right? This is the spinous process, and the supra is which is superior above to the spinous process. So the muscle basically starts from the scapula, the place we call supraspinatus fossa. Fossa is the groove. And the muscle attaches to the humerus, right? Humerus, that is the GT, greater tubercle. So for you, in the simple words, if we say it starts from the back of the scapula, that is the supraspinatus fossa, and attaches to the bone, humerus, the top part, the GT, which is the greater tubercle, which is we call the head of the humerus too. And the action is abduction of the arm, right? Abduction of the arm like this, when we are going away from the midline of the body. So this is the superior rotator cuff muscle and stabilizer also, and most injured rotator cuff muscle. Whenever sometime we try to go lift anything heavy up, the muscle tear, right? Pushing somewhere else, like falling down like this way, muscle injured. Sometime overuse of this muscle, like in the posture like this, muscle injured. So that's why we say that most injured rotator cuff muscle is your supraspinatus. In the abduction, when you are doing warrior 2, muscle engage. right? The muscle engage. So in which position we are going? Away from the midline of the body, muscle engages. When we are crossing, muscle stretches. So this is the function of your supraspinatus, the first muscle or the most injured rotator cuff muscle, or we can say superior rotator cuff muscle. In the previous class, on the earlier class, we have discussed about the supraspinatus, the superior rotator cuff muscle. Now the second one which we are going origin from here and insertion to your greater tubercle at the same place, GT, the bigger part, the head of the humerus. The arm contraction on the back part of your scapula, the outer side. This is internal rotation, this is external rotation. So this is muscle, because the action, what we can say, the external rotation. Sometimes you're trying to this is the function of your infraspinatus. In the previous class, we have discussed that about the infraspinatus. Border, the lateral border of the scapula, and then the muscle attaches to the greater. Muscle, so this is same function like infraspinatus also has the external rotation, and the teres minor has also the function is external rotation. This also acts as a stabilization, which gives stabilization to the outer part of the scapula, and this is also posterior because it is located on the back part of the scapula. So we can say this is also posterior rotator cuff muscle. the sternum and the front part, and this is the underneath the shoulder. Opposite in relation to infraspinatus and teres minor. The rotator cuff muscle is supraspinatus. Spinatus, teres minor. Anterior is your underneath the scapula, from the front part is your subscapularis. So if you place your pen doing the poses where you are doing for the internal rotation of the shoulders, do this movement, easy for you, this easy for you, this easy for you in the activity of daily living, but we never use this movement. And make your shoulder more stable and more compact. Is with me here once again to demonstrate the muscles for you guys. So supraspinatus, as we see the scapula, right? So the scapula, this is, we can feel the spinous process here, as we have discussed in the PPT, spinous process, and this is the scapula blade, right? This is the medial spinatus muscle that originates from the abduction of the shoulder, abduction of the arm. This is the action of the supra. scapula. From here, rotation over there, and the other side stretches to relax. Lesser tubercle here somewhere. So muscle is deep.